people say, why do you talk about this one? Why do you talk about gender? You know why? Because there is no bigger lie, and this is even bigger than the Russia hoax. There's been no bigger lie perpetrated on the American public than the idea that men and women are completely and fundamentally interchangeable. Question of the day, how mainstream do you think the view that men can get periods too, that also includes all of modern gender theory, how mainstream do you think it is on the left? Do you think it's a small faction? At what point when you look at every single DNC candidate putting their his and her and Z pronouns in their Twitter profile, do you say, oh, it seems like this is sort of broken away from the pack and it's now in the mainstream? I guess broken into the pack.
Ooh,
it's like a reverse run of the bulls.
Yeah.
They're running in looking to get gored by hard tranny cocks. We'll bleep that. So,
hardly.
This is hardly. People will be like, guessing, what did he say? I'm sure it's the theater of the mind, people. So, Dennis Prager was recently on Bill Maher's show, and he had the audacity to point out some of the biggest lies coming from the left. And I want you to see the reaction here, because at first I had to do a double take.
To say that men can menstruate is a lie, and that is what is said.
Wait, where did that
You never heard it, right? Okay, check it out, folks. Check it out.
I think
anyone who says a man cannot menstruate is considered transphobic.
I missed this whole story.
You did?
I did. Tell me where you're getting this.
Just Google it. Can men menstruate?
First off, it is funny they said menstruate.
I hate the pronunciation. Yeah,
but it is that is actually correct.
Accurate.
I don't like
we ran
it,
a search on it. You can say it one of both ways. I love how Bill always says, when did... I'm ill prepared for this question, so let me just do this.
Yeah, exactly.
He turns to the audience. And then the crowd animator, and here's what's so crazy. A crowd animator exists for all shows, right? All comedy shows. It's like, okay, laugh when you went to go see Letterman,
exactly.
Right? It says laugh. But with Bill Maher, there's a crowd animator to say, cheer this point, agree with this point. So he just looks to the audience and goes, and they go, yay!
Cheer.
I guess it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, right? His audience, they just liked to laugh. But he makes the same argument that you hear a lot, that it's a small section of liberals.
Yeah.
I guess he's missed every major article on transgenderism from every major publication. What do we got? Scary Mommy, MTV, HuffPo, Independent, Telegraph, People Magazine.
Yeah.
All say that men can have their periods too. And by the way, these aren't just some random op-ed people. Not only do we have YouTube videos here, but this is some of these clips are from international.
No.
It's a pandemic, which I believe means international.
Yes.
It's not an epidemic. It's a pandemic from Thinks Tampons. Look at these videos.
Some guys have periods. It's a thing. It happens. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. Some people might argue otherwise, but guys can have periods too.
Hey, Dad.
Actually, if a man has a period, it means he's very sick.
I got my period.
Are you talking about coming from your ass? I mean,
I didn't start
he just did.
Terrible.
at all until I was 27.
This is from a tampon company.
And so that leaves me with 5-ish years of
What? I don't need to see the
identifying
letters.
as a man, but also getting my period.
Okay, listen, this is at the... Yeah, just some small Twitter faction. That's what it is. When they're running national advertising, sorry, international pandemics. This is mainstream on the left. And by the way, no one from the DNC can stray from these mainstream points. I want to get back to Dennis Prager and Bill Maher here. He actually had, again, the audacity to point out that UC Berkeley, they have tampon dispensers in the men's room, which of course draws more laughter from the crowd animator for Bill Maher.
At the University of Berkeley men's room, tampons are given out. Check it out. UC Berkeley men's rooms have tampon dispensers. Clap! Agree! It is
support him.
Yeah,
and he goes, I don't really think. Okay, also University of Wisconsin-Madison, University of Minnesota Twin Cities, Brown University. They all provide menstrual products in men's rooms. Okay, this isn't some isolated incident. By the way, since this episode happened last week, just so you know, you would think they maybe would lay low for a bit, right? Because Bill Maher's like, this is absurd. This isn't mainstream. Since then, Parents Magazine, not even an activist publication, posted this on Instagram yesterday. Look, Mowgli saying that men can have periods too. You have better things to do. Bagheera would be ashamed.
Oh my God.
Learn to walk barefoot, at least buy some Vibrams. Planned Parenthood, let's go down the list here. Planned Parenthood, inextricably tied with the Democratic Party. They're an organization the United States gives over $500 million to annually. They say that men can get periods in their educational literature on menstruation.
No.
Also, by the way,
I'm
Planned
opposed.
Parenthood, this is an organization that's going to make my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, a little bit uncomfortable because he was not involved with this video because I wanted to protect him from it. But Planned Parenthood also believes that men can get pregnant too. I know. I tried it.
So your test came back positive.
Really?
The only options we can give you is that we can give you the forms for the Medicaid if you want to go ahead and continue with the pregnancies.
I am so glad,
That's
by
so
the way, that
funny.
we stole piss. Just bleep the name so people don't dox. We stole
Doxing.
a woman's urine, tested
nice.
positive on a pregnancy test, and they couldn't say, like, you're sick, you have testicular cancer. They, congratulations! Do you want to do a gender reveal? I mean, I'm getting fired. It is so absurd.
I'm out.
We're not sure how the
Canceled.
baby's coming out.
And this will probably be removed. It's already been demonetized on YouTube.
Yeah.
By the way, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed, because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot. Notifications let you know when there's an entire new video that goes up. And of course, just check in every day. We have a new video at 8 o'clock. Join Mug Club. That's what allows us to continue. This is something else too, though. How far... Because now you can say, well, it's HuffPo, it's People Magazine, it's Planned Parenthood, it's Parents Magazine, it's all of these major publications, but that hasn't necessarily made it to the national platform. Really? How about we go to the DNC candidates?
Yeah.
The House overwhelmingly passed the Equality Act, which, by the way, would force all institutions in America to treat someone's identified gender as if it were a biological fact.
Right.
6 of the Democrat presidential candidates, 6 of them, have added their gender pronouns to Twitter. And by
right,
the way,
Bill.
lest you think, you're saying, maybe this is just on Twitter, there's a separation between Twitter and real life. Well, let's go to Democratic presidential hopeful, and I say hopeful because he's so hopeful. Julian Castro even demanded that trans women have access to taxpayer-funded, well, he didn't say trans women, taxpayer-funded abortions. Hear how he dead-named people.
I don't believe only in reproductive freedom. I believe in reproductive justice. Just because a woman, or let's also not forget, someone in the trans community, a trans female, is poor, doesn't mean they shouldn't have the right to exercise that right to choose.
His team is like, crap, I'm a trans male. Like,
Yeah, I know, right away. Dang it! Someone read the Craigslist calling sheet. It's MTF. Looking for a good time.
You not know
That's
this.
how I found out. It was MTF.
Yeah.
FTM? I don't know. The point is, it's a sick subculture.
Of course.
it's a gross website.
I know that's judgmental. I'm okay with it. This is something else too.
It's for your own good.
That later on, Bill Maher mentions, he goes on to talk about trans athletes. And he tries to claim that, well, listen, this is absurd, but that's a far cry from the idea of men menstruating. Listen to what the case he makes.
What you're talking about is, yes, someone who is transgendered, was a man, now claims to be a woman.
What?
Is a woman.
Is a woman! Is a woman! I meant is a woman!
He's already canceled.
Dog out of other women in the race because, of course, they have more muscle mass. This is a far cry from saying men can menstruate.
Now you wonder
I hate
why,
the pronunciation.
You wonder why he had to catch himself like believes there is a woman. Let me explain this to you. We just said James
Panic
O'Keefe.
in his eyes was just amazing.
And I am dead inside. The reason that he does that, okay, we just had, we talked about Amy Robach with James O'Keefe yesterday, who had the story on Epstein, and it was punted, right? Mm-hmm. This was a woman who had a story on possibly the biggest, most influential, I guess, Epstein was what you would call like a pedophile influencer, like, social media influencers.
Yeah.
Like fitness
This is
influencers. He was a
bigger than Michael
pedophile
Jackson.
influencer that could have saved potentially dozens or hundreds of young people from being under the thumb of Jeffrey Epstein, and they punted the story. And we were talking about this. When you see that, one of the biggest scandals ever in American history, it tells you that people with mainstream outlets, or working within mainstream outlets, they cannot do honest journalism. No. They are precluded from doing it, okay? So, let's take that carried over. Why do you think Bill Maher is going, identifies, no wait, is a woman, because he's on the same network as Lena Dunham's Girls in the new Watchmen series.
Yeah.
He knows that he would be on the unemployment line faster than Bernie Sanders can get on a Russia honeymoon getaway. This guy is going to be gone from the network if he doesn't play ball. Lest you think that I'm exaggerating here, Democrat Ilhan Omar, when she's not, in between sessions with the brothers.
Oh, no.
She demanded an investigation into the United USA Powerlifting Association because they wouldn't let transgenders compete in the women's division. She claimed that it was a myth that powerlifters who are biological males have a direct competitive advantage at lifting weights. So she equates the idea that a man has the potential to lift more weight with Loch Ness Monster. In her mind, they're effectively the same. And by the way, let's be clear about this. Legislatively, I don't know how Bill Maher has missed this, and this is why I do think it's intellectually disingenuous. I don't want to attribute motive, but at this point, legislatively, considering that he is an educated man, he's a well-read man on policy, legislatively, the Democrats are way past this. Legislatively, the Democrats have already signed on to a platform and an agenda that says men can menstruate too. That's why they are so tied with Planned Parenthood. That's why they put their pronouns in their Twitter profiles. That's why Julian Castro just said what he said about, by the way, transgenders not only having the ability to have an abortion performed, which right away that should stop the conversation because they can't. Right. I don't care how birthing your hips are. If you're a baseball catcher in Division I, it doesn't matter. You're still not going to have a baby.
No,
okay?
Sorry about that.
Not only that, but legislatively, they're way past that, and they try to sidestep the question of transgender males to females.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting confused.
It is confusing. So
transgender males to females. You know what? Guys in dresses playing sports. Right. They try to sidestep it when he asks, what about transgenders in sports? Well, I think it's kind of like, should there be limitations on abortions? And Bernie Sanders says, I don't believe that it's my place. Like, what about men fracturing skulls and female mixed martial arts? And they say, well, you know, this is fear-mongering. But legislatively, they're already past the idea that men can have periods, too. And this is something that I think Maher really needs to understand. They dismiss it as though it's absurd, and they miss a point that Dennis Prager was making. These are mammoth lies, and I do think this is an important point. You know, Donald Trump, we've talked about it, he's a bit of a BSer, right? He might exaggerate the attendance, right, at his rallies. Right. He might go out and say, this is the best economy we've ever had. And you look at unemployment, you look at job participation rate, you look at more black businesses being started than ever, you look at black unemployment rate, you look at the median household income when you exclude for super wealthy earners being $5,000 for the average middle income family compared to $1,000 for Obama, $400 for George W. Bush, and you go, you know what, he has a point there, but maybe GDP isn't as robust as he would like it to be, but that's not an outright lie. You're going to call those lies? Compared to men can leak menstruation from where their balls used to be?
Right, yeah. I mean, that's blood, man.
Men and women
That's correct.
are the same. This is one thing else. People say, why do you talk about this? Why do you talk about gender? You know why? Because there is no bigger lie, and this is even bigger than the Russia hoax. There has been no bigger lie perpetrated on the American public than the idea that men and women are completely and fundamentally interchangeable. We want to talk about Donald Trump. We want to talk about Russia. We want to talk about the media. We can talk about Epstein. All of those things matter. They're relevant, sure. But to try and act as though those are more pressing than the huge, this gargantuan lie that men and women are the same, that we do not have inherent differences, which, by the way, is what makes us stronger. It's what makes the family unit stronger. When you say that men and women are fundamentally interchangeable, you first off tug at the fabric of society by pulling apart the family, and you have a bunch of kids who don't think they need a mother and a father because fundamentally, two moms are the same thing as two dads, and two dads are the same thing as a dad with a dick and a mom with a dick. I got confused during that rant. I meant to say a dad with a menstruating part. And by the way, men can't menstruate. It's not. It's like those Halloween. It's a parlor trick. It's a parlor trick. It's like those Halloween masks that you have. They have like the second coating, and so you squeeze it, and it looks like the mask is bleeding. Yeah. It has a pump. They have a pump. They're going menstruation. You're like, no, that's a lie. Look, he's palming the pump. My point is this.
I love it.
They just act as though, for the longest time, they would say, this is a small faction. Like people would say, I think it's legitimate for the right to say, sure, there are some people who are racist, but it really is a small faction. If you look at their voting record, these people, Republicans don't vote en masse for racism. They certainly don't support racist policies. They do the opposite of that, you can argue. Whereas you look at the voting records of any of these Democratic candidates, and they consistently vote for this, not only a slippery slope, they are trying to shove people down this slippery slope so fast they gain too much speed that they end up throwing themselves down the slope, telling you that men can have periods too. Men cannot have periods. Bill Maher knows that men cannot have periods, but Bill Maher tries to act like it's an extreme view and not mainstream in the left. It is the sole mainstream view of the left. As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say it is the only allowable mainstream view in the left. You think that you think this is hyperbolic here? Okay, go to a leftist rally. Any Elizabeth Warren, you have to watch it through your fingers though, because it's so cringy. Go to a Bernie rally, go to an Elizabeth Warren rally, go to any town hall where they allow for open questions, and ask them if they think that we've gone too far in supporting the idea that men can menstruate too. Or just shout out, men can't have periods, and watch yourself get booed. It is the only acceptable viewpoint in the left, and I don't believe for a second that Bill Maher doesn't know it. You let me know what you think about menstruation. It's like a Tootsie Pop apple. Menstruation. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe or hit the notification bell because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot. And of course, do join Mug Club at louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. You get like 80% more content, a full daily show. And I will tell you this, I know you might be on the fence. None of them involve men's true hating. So we got that going for us.